Dave Ramsey is famous for his 7 baby steps that help people manage their money. But do these steps work for everybody, even if you earn a lot of money, like if you're a doctor or dentist? Well, I'm Dr. Jeff Anzalone, and in this video, I'm going to tell you how I started off using Dave's baby steps right out of dental school. And then I'm going to show you the changes that I made to grow my wealth and how you can do the same. Let's dive into each step and then let's see how I've actually gone and changed Dave's ideas to better suit my life as I was building more wealth as a dentist. So let's start off with Dave's very first step. Step number 1, he talks about saving $1,000 into an emergency fund. That's step number 1. So think about this. This money is like a safety net because you're going to have unexpected things happen. Your car is going to break down. You may have a sudden doctor visit, or a tree may fall on your house, anything like that that could really screw up your budget. I totally agree with this step, and I think it's a great place to start. For me, this step isn't about just having some cash set aside. It's about the learning process, learning how to save regularly, because think about it. We go to college, I went to dental school, you go to medical school, law school, whatever, you're not even thinking about saving money. All you're doing is probably spending money, student loan money, right? This is helping you with the process. Now, I get that $1,000 isn't going to cover much of emergency, but it's a good amount that most of the average people out there can save up, and it gives you just a little bit more peace of mind that hey, look, I've got this money sitting over here on the sidelines that could help me if something comes up. So this early win helps you feel like you're starting to get ready to tackle maybe some bigger money goals. Because remember, this is just step number 1. $1,000 is just a start. I keep mine in a separate account. I've got a Vanguard money market account I've had for forever. So I'm not tempted to use it unless it's an emergency. It's not in my local bank. It's a totally different, separate thing. Now, once you've got this buffer, now you're in a stronger position to handle whatever comes next financially. So now let's talk about step number 2. And it's going to be about paying off debt with something that he calls the Debt Snowball method. Okay, paying off all debt except your house using the Debt Snowball method. Okay, he suggests we begin with our smallest debt, pay that off first, and then move on to the next smallest debt, so on and so forth. By doing this method allows you to see progress more quickly. Why? Because you clear out the smaller debts first, which is, you get that small win. So it's really satisfying. And that, for me, that's what kept me motivated to tackle the bigger ones. This strategy, again, it's effective because it builds something called momentum, right? It builds momentum, like that's where you got the name from, a snowball method. It's like rolling a snowball. It starts off small, up on the hill, you push it, it builds momentum, and it gets larger and faster and grows as it progresses down. And this is particularly beneficial if you're the type of person to find it difficult to stick to a plan, because seeing those small debts disappear quickly, guess what? It's going to give you a sense of victory. So for example, when I started this process, I had several smaller student loans and I had one large one. And all that together totaled, for me, it was roughly about $300,000 total. Now, after I paid the first one off, which was around maybe $6,000 or $7,000, guess what? I felt more motivated and focused on, okay, now I've got that knocked out. Let's move on to the next one. Now, while some people might prefer to think about, hey, it will make more sense to pay off the highest interest debts first to save on interest costs, the snowball method, as Dave talks about, really offers benefits. Like, it's just, again, it's simple and it gives you a boost in confidence. Remember, many people in America, myself included, they start off with little to no knowledge about managing money, which is why the Debt Snowball is really effective. It's all about that psychological, securing those wins first and then building momentum from there. Moving on to step number 3. Step number 3 is you take your $1,000 emergency fund and he recommends you boost it to 3 to 6 months of expenses. So you go back to it and you basically add to it. Having a strong emergency fund is really important because you're going to have a different amount than me, right? So it depends on how steady your job is or how fast you can maybe find a new one if you had to. If you have a reliable job, like if you're a dentist or a plumber or something like that, you might just be able to work more hours if you need extra money. That means you may be okay with a emergency fund maybe on the smaller end versus somebody whose job isn't very stable. For me, I like to be extra safe, so actually I have saved enough to cover 2 years of living expenses. Again, it's all about what you want. So you want to start off with what you can manage to save and then try to add a little bit more to the emergency fund each month until you reach your goal. Step number 4, Dave recommends that you invest 15% of your household income into some sort of retirement account. Accounts like a 401k, IRA, something like that. This is a good starting point. But if you make a lot of money, think about it, it's a good idea to save more, right? So here's how you can actually take your retirement savings to the next level. And I started off with maxing out our practices retirement account, and then I changed, okay? Now, you want to, what I just talked about, you want to maximize your retirement contributions. You want to start off by putting as much money as you can into retirement accounts. Why? Because this is going to save you on taxes now, right? It's going to decrease your active income, the taxes you pay on your active income, and let your money start to grow without being taxed until you use it, okay? Remember, this is going to help you lower your taxes today to grow your money faster. That's his whole thing about 15%. Now, for me, I actually started to diversify with real estate. Alongside your retirement accounts, you may want to consider investing in something like real estate or other businesses. Properties can give you extra money now, and then guess what they do? They appreciate, or they go up in value over time. I invest in real estate syndications, which is a passive type of real estate. It's hands off. And this is really a key part of my whole financial plan, because they're providing me steady income now, and that I could continue to use whether I keep practicing or not. And you want to, I encourage you, especially, again, this is geared more towards the high income earner. Right now, focus on building a passive income portfolio. He doesn't talk about that at all. And that's one of the big things that him and I diverge on, is he's just focused on 401k, work for 30 years, and then you'll be retired as a millionaire. I'm more, you have all this extra money, what do you do with it? I hurt my wrist in a skiing accident when I was 40, and that was my wake-up call. That scared me to death. It's hard to work on patients as a dentist without your hand. So I learned how important it is to have income that doesn't depend on me, doesn't depend on my ability to work. By investing in things that make money grow, okay? Make money grow, they make money on their own, not me, like rental properties or, again, other businesses. You can make sure that you have enough money coming in even if you can't physically do the work. This can help pay for living costs, and it really lessens the blow of if you have any type of unexpected life challenges. Who knows? You could get sick, hurt, injured. You never think about that, right? Look, they don't teach us any of this stuff about school, about, quote, how we make money. I learned this from Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Cash Flow Quadrant, some of Robert Kiyosaki's books. I had to learn that on my own. Okay, school taught me to get a job and then work until I'm after 30 or 40 years. Nothing wrong with that, but again, what happens if something happens and you can't work? The school is like, they're teaching us to get a job and then spend our entire career trading our most important asset, our time, for money. Once you get into the habit of investing in assets that don't require your time to pay for your liabilities, that's when that shift happened to me. That's when your life really starts to change for the better. Okay, so step 4 is where we really change in our beliefs. Now, step 5, he talks about, after you get all this going, you want to save for your kids' college fund. He recommends using 529 plans or some type of other tax advantage accounts to save for your children's education, college. These plans are great because many of them come with tax benefits that are specifically designed for educational expenses. When I use, now that I've got a son that's in college and I have one that's going to college next year, looking back on this, I've used some of the 529 plans. I recognize their benefits, but I've also thought about the other ways to save, because college costs continue to do what? They continue to go up. If I had to do it all over again, I might choose to start investing in real estate or some other type of passive investments. This method isn't just about saving money. It's going to offer me now a little more flexibility. For example, for me, if I've had my kids, one of them is on school right now, scholarship, the other one's gotten scholarships. I understand when your kids are little, you don't know. But, if your kids have scholarships and don't really need the money for tuition, if you have outside investments, well, you could use that money that you've earmarked. If you have real estate or whatever that you've earmarked for education, now what you can do is you can use that investment somewhere else without having the limitations of 529 plan. So now we've got all this money in these 529 plans and not really using much at all, okay? again, now that I've gone through this is just how I'm rethinking things about that. Again, I understand you don't know what your kids are like or whatever, but again, if you're going to put, let's say you're going to put $5,000 a year away in a 529 plan, well, that again, that's only going to limit you to educational costs. Maybe you want to take that $5,000 and put it into something else that's only going to be towards their college education. And then if they get scholarships or something like that, like we did, do you have all that money they could use on whatever they want? Investing in real estate, for me, it's also a great way to start to teach your kids about how to manage and grow their money. It's a real practical approach that can actually start the discussion process with your kids about finances, about money, explaining to them, hey, let me tell you about how mom and dad use this real estate investment over here to pay for your education. And this not only helps them financially, but again, it's going to start to educate them, because are schools going to do it? No. It's going to help them, educate them on how to handle money wisely, and it's going to be coming from you, the parent. Here's some other things that you can do to give your children sort of a well-rounded education. And instead of only just saving in traditional accounts, you may want to start talking to them about options about real estate, and provide them, if you're doing that, which is a great thing to do, you can show them, here's my experience, here's maybe where I failed, here's where I have had some wins, here's some of the money that we're making, here's some of the financial returns. Just a brief overview, just to kind of show them that, hey, mom and dad are also, besides them going to their quote normal work, they're a dentist, but hey, they're also making some money on the sides. Encourage them, and whenever their friends are around, encourage entrepreneurship. If your kids want to start a small business when they're young, encourage that, help them, show them how to do that. This is teaching them, this is not so much about them about making money, it's teaching them about thinking outside the box, focusing on their work ethic, and how they're going to manage their finances. Show your kids early on how to budget, how to save. I know Dave is real big about this. He has some different books and learning materials that you can give kids when they're young, because these skills are going to be critical for them their entire career. Budgeting and saving, whether they do it on their own, they start their own business, whatever, that's so important. And then promote earning. Suggest that they take some part-time jobs, even when they're in school. Earning their own money, that's what's going to teach them a lot about value and responsibility. And again, have open conversations with them and when their friends are around about these kind of things, okay? Combining these lessons with practical saving strategies, again, it's not only going to prepare your kids for college, but also success when they get out, when they have a family on their own. And step number 6, Dave talks about paying off your home early. I have a good personal experience for that, because paying off your home early, it's really a big part of what Dave's teaching. I understand it can help a lot of people. Again, personal experience, we got through about 7.5 years. We got through with the $300,000 in debt, and then we ended up paying off that first house that we lived in. Felt great. I was around 38, 39 years old, something like that. It felt awesome to pull into a house, walking around, no house payment anymore. But then later, I thought, well, again, once I had the skiing accident, hurt my wrist, and I started thinking differently about money, I thought about maybe how I could use some of that money, that extra money that I was putting towards a house, to invest in other things. Like I'm heavy in mobile home parks and RV parks now, which can continue to make money over time, instead of having that money just sitting there, not doing anything, because you still have to pay maintenance, you still have to pay taxes, that sort of thing. You don't really own your house when it's paid off. Don't believe me? Don't pay your taxes and see what happens. Whether you should pay off your house early, it really depends on how you handle money and what you want to achieve with it. It's all about you. You know what's best for you. I don't. You do. Some of the benefits of paying your house off early. Well, you may have some more money to use. So without a house payment each month, you're going to have more money to spend or save for other things. Again, you're going to save on interest. Paying off your house early means you have less interest. You're paying off less interest to the bank. Again, saves you money. It also going to make, if you're the type of person that's going to make you feel more secure, owning your house more complete. If you're risk averse, this is going to make you feel great, right? Some people might worry about, I may lose some tax benefits because they're getting tax benefits from the mortgage interest if they pay off their house early. However, the freedom and the savings from not having a mortgage could be worth more to you versus the tax breaks. It just depends on your situation. In the end, owning your home outright comes down, again, to your risk tolerance. If having a paid off house makes you sleep better at night, pay it off. Great. That's a win for you. If you have a lower risk tolerance and you feel good about you have the financial education where instead of paying the extra $1,000 or $2,000 a month or whatever on the house early, and you know what to do with it to invest, because again, it all comes down to this: you know what's best for you, not somebody else. And then last but not least, he talks about continue to grow your nest egg. So continue to grow your nest egg and then share it, give away, charities, that sort of thing. This last step it goes beyond merely just investing and saving money. Again, it's about making your money work for you and Dave really wants us all to have a positive impact on the world. I'm doing these YouTube videos, blog posts, that sort of thing, because I want to share my experience of what I've done, give it to you. And then once you become successful, again, share it to others. Step number 7, it actually involves 2 main objectives: building wealth and giving back. Now, he states that once you get down to this point, you should have 0 debt, and then now without your house, and you have plenty of money to continue to invest if you want to and give it to worldly causes. He continues, even after this point, even after you get all the way down to step number 7, he continues to push investing in index funds even more. But again, if you go through these steps and you're okay with it, it's going to keep you trapped. It's going to keep you trading time for money. And if you're okay with that, that's great. But again, what happens if you cannot physically keep trading time for money, or if you don't want to keep trading time for money? But if you stay on this track, that's what's going to do. So instead, like I talked to you about earlier, I changed to real estate. And then you can cut back part-time, which I'm currently at now, or you can retire early, whichever one you want. Work is optional. Here's the thing: having other income streams besides your active or earned income, it's going to give you something that nobody's ever going to teach you about. Certainly not school. You know what it's going to give you? I'll put it over here. Having other streams of income besides your W-2 1099 income, it's going to give you options. That's right, options. The option to keep working or not. The option to cut back or not. The option if you want to change careers or completely retire. The choice is yours now because you have options. If you follow his baby steps and stay into the point where you're trading time for money, you don't have options. If you're okay with that, that's great. But again, I'm giving you all this information so you'll have options. Now, what do you think about Dave Ramsey's 7 baby steps? Are you using them? And if so, have you, like me, gone through and modified some of them to fit your lifestyle? I would love to hear about it. Do me a favor, comment below. I'll be checking them out. Take care.